Welcome to Chasm Converses. I am the man himself, and joining me right now is London-based musician Col Gerrard. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, mate.
It's awesome to see out and about, which is awesome to see as well. It's been a fucking real good day today in London, I will say. I'm in my room, but I did get some sun earlier.
Yeah, it's just peeking out now. The rain has just stopped.
Absolutely perfect. Well, you're joining me today because you have just released your debut album, self-titled, obviously, which is fantastic. What a journey to write an album. That must have taken like lots of time and so much like effort and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to know how you are enjoying the fact that it's out now. It's been out for a few months. How are you enjoying the reception that it's getting?
Well, actually, quite good, actually. I've had a few really nice reviews. You know, they always say about critics, you know, sometimes it's great to criticize as long as you've been in the same shoes, but at the same time, I'll take the kudos if they're good or bad when I'm there. But, well, actually, this sort of came about because I'd stopped music for a few years and got a job to make some money. Yeah. And then I started making films. I came sort of from a family that my mum was an actress, my dad was a director. Wow. And so I wanted to make short films. He passed away when I was a kid, my dad, but I was doing short films for a while, and then I was just going through a lot of my old music. I was originally signed when I was about 19. I was signed to a publishing deal at Warner Chappell, and then I used to write some songs from other people, a few other things, and then I just sort of dropped out of it. But I've got this massive catalogue of stuff, and a lovely chap named Chris Potter, who's got a hell of a great pedigree. He's worked with everyone from the Stones to the McCartney to the Verve to Ashcroft to U2 to everybody. So I guess he either was having a down day that day and maybe his ears weren't working and he listened to me and said, well, I feel bad for the fella, let's do something to help him out. So but he took pity on me and he's been fantastic. He's also, you'll see him on the album, he's credited as producer and arranger. He's actually, it's a hidden sort of thing, and I think a lot of old albums used to say that, like you see the old Frank Sinatra albums, you know, arranged by Norman Riddle, whatever, but he's a great arranger. He'll take your tracks and he rearranges certain things and stuff like that, and he's fantastic at that. So it was a great journey. We've actually already been back in the studio. We've got 15 other tracks put down again. I got a lot of catalogue of stuff. So we're going to start working on those June 1st, but we've been back on the road for a little bit. I need to get a bit more seasoned when it comes to playing live again. So, but it was a great journey. Fantastic. He's an incredibly great guy to work with. I couldn't have asked for more. And I look forward to the future of that also, doing more and more and more work.
That's brilliant, man. I'm so keen to just piece this all, to take little spots and pieces of what you've just said and just like delve in, because wow, that's incredible. So like, I mean, the fact you've got an extra 15 tracks now as well that you're also working on, the vaults of what you've written must be obviously massive, especially from like, you know, starting off getting signed at 19. Are some of these tracks, and even the ones on the album, are these from back then when you were 19 that you also wrote as well?
Some were actually, a couple of tracks actually were very like old. Actually, on the new 15 tracks, there's two on there. One I wrote when I was 16. And the other one I wrote when I was 17. So that's over 20 years ago. So they've just been percolating or collecting dust or getting mold, one or the other. And so we dragged those out and he seemed to like, but he's got such a good ear for what's good and what's not great, you know, and he'll always push me a bit further and say, you know, that's a good track, Colin, but it's not good enough. You know, Cole, you got to work on that. And I love that part of him. He'll say, you know, that's good. It's got that aspects of it too, but that needs to be worked on. You're just not doing. And so he pulls a lot of good things out of you, I think. I mean, it depends on how you feel about the album, but at the same time, a lot of those tracks were very personal to me, which, you know, I suppose is music full stop. But I like the fact that he enforced the fact that we had to do it with a live band in the studio.
Yeah, right. That must have been quite an experience having a live band there with you.
The best. Wow. Mate, it's the best. It really, truly is the best. I mean, it's the best when you don't have to be with a bunch of band members and argue with each other about who's the better person in the band. It's nice to sort of say, no, do this, do this, do this, do this. But I don't really work that way. I figured, you know, if you hire somebody to do something or to work with you, then let them do what they're supposed to be good at and shut up.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I would say to them, so, well, what do you want on this track, Colin? I said, I want you on the track. I said, just play what you feel, you know. I might sometimes, the only time I'm a massive fan of probably the one and only person out there that loves bass players. And there's so many memes online about bass players, quite nasty actually. But
I used to be a bass player, so I know.
Yeah, but I'm a huge fan. My heroes are all musicians. I mean, I think my favorite bands, so to speak, were the Funk Brothers. They were the house band at Motown.
Yeah, like I think I've heard them from way back. Yeah, yeah.
Mate, if you love bass, well, there's a guy named James Jamerson. This guy was incredible. He played on something like 1,500 tracks. He only lived till 45. He passed away quite early.
Far
But the
out.
musicians on the Funk Brothers, the musicians on the Wrecking Crew in Los Angeles, those guys, the guys in the Nashville Boys. I mean, these guys are such incredible musicians,
Yeah.
and they just take your head off. But particularly the guys in the Funk Brothers, and particularly James Jamerson on the bass, he was just incredible. Some of the work he did. So those are the guys that I sort of adhere to more than anything when it comes to saying, well, what do you like or what do you sort of see yourself as? And the fact that we did everything live, when these guys got hired for the job, I just said, do your thing, do what's great for you. Unless there was something particular I felt really needed to be on the track. Whatever they brought to the track was what they brought to the track. It was their feeling, their vibe, whatever you want to put on that, you know? And I love that part of it, to be honest. It's great.
Yeah, brilliant. It sounds like, yeah, an absolute journey. When it came to obviously, working with him, because he's worked with obviously some of the massive bands, as you were saying,
Yeah.
like U2, The Verve and stuff, because he has such a different sound of working with so many different artists and that kind of thing. How do you feel, obviously with him putting his work into yours and like almost crafting your sound? Did it come out the way that you had anticipated that your music was going to come out, or was it almost a bit different than what you thought you'd finish up
Yeah,
with?
well, I would say probably a little bit different, to be quite frank. But
Mm.
I mean, I consider my sort of pop soul. That's where I put my sort of genre, if you want to call it, I guess.
Yep.
But he's great. He just sort of lets you do your thing, and then he puts his oar in. He'll say,
Okay.
well, that's great, but it could do this and this, 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 and this. And so, and sometimes it's a little bit intimidating. He's worked with some fantastic artists. If you go through his CV, it goes on for days. And I mean, I saw this thing the other day. They've got this new thing on Spotify or something. It's called Meta, and it shows you the other artists they're connected to. Well, it's got me connected to 12 tracks, and it's got him connected to 950 other artists or something
God
like
damn.
that. I'm like,
Wow.
fuck me. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, my language. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
That's all good. I'm Australian. It's going to come out at some point.
of course you are. Yeah, I loved Australia. I lived down there for about 6 months, man. It was one of my greatest times of my life. I loved it down
Oh,
there.
hell yeah, brilliant. Whereabouts did you live?
Melbourne was actually selling door to door.
Oh, wow, really?
I was selling door to door down there. I
That's
sold door
brilliant.
to door, and that's what I started doing when I left the music industry. I started selling door to door in Los Angeles, in Compton and East LA, and all the gangbang territory. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
somebody called me one day and said, would you like to do something similar? And I went to Australia for 6 months, I think it was. I
Yeah.
worked every major city there. I loved it. I liked the people there. I liked the bluntness. I liked the getting to the points. I liked the piss taking. Yeah, it was just about perfect for me.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm from Adelaide, so like that's really cool to hear.
City of churches.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. It's so funny because like it has that moniker attached to it, but there's really not that many in there. There's maybe about two or three. Like it's nothing. I mean, there's more churches on an England main street. You know what I mean? Like, but I guess
It's funny. The other day, I work in Italy a lot, and I was seeing the other day they were saying
Wow.
there's 900 churches in Rome alone.
Wow,
That means you can see a church every day for 3 years and never see the same church.
far out. That's brilliant, isn't it? I've never been there,
Mate.
but I would love to go there. That's
Oh,
incredible.
you should go. Italy's a great country. Love, beautiful place. It's got so
Yeah.
much history, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah. Does your work sort of take you sort of all over the world then?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, the work I sort of do on the side too. I still do a bit of work in television and film, a teeny bit, but basically it's sort of grunt work. You know, I go there, look at the white balance, press a button, and have a snooze afterwards.
Indeed,
me- like the Italian crews, yeah, they're great to work with though, and everything's funny to them. No matter what you do, it's hilarious. So,
right.
yeah, with my own, I had a business for a while for about 10 years almost altogether, from about the age of 25, and I stopped it about just under 10 years ago. But it took me all over the place, and I was basically starting with that. Then I developed other stuff, and I worked with larger companies and that sort of stuff. But I think that I just sort of woke up one morning and said, that's enough, jumped on my motorcycle, went to Italy, went to film school, And
Wow.
then, like I say, about 3 years ago, I came across a woman named Zita McHugh, who's
Mhm.
Chris Potter's manager, and
Okay.
I sent the stuff to her, and she took pity on me also, uh, and said and gave me a choice of a few producers. But as soon as I saw Chris's pedigree, I went, no, 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 that's the guy there.
That is brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
Especially, yeah, even with like, because you were saying before that your mother was an actress and your father was a
Yeah.
director. So they,
Yeah.
of your parents must have had a massive influence on you growing up to want to then be involved in film and obviously all your other stuff. And then, so did you find your music pathway sort of on your own?
Well, to a certain level, there used to be this old banger of a upright piano in the back of the house there, in the back of
Hmm.
the flat. And I used to, actually jump up and down on. And about the age of 5, I started to actually press the keys properly.
Fair enough.
But my mum was she was a soprano singer also. She was very,
Mm.
I mean, the one thing about my mum is anytime I ever sang off key, I get a smack in the back of the head.
Oh,
So
teach
she
you
was
on.
very, 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 I mean, and I'm very aware of it. The last tour we just did with BOYZLIFE, I was just
Mm.
very aware, even in sound check, if I was like, does that sound all right? Or does that stink? Because my mum was going to come down from up top there and beat me to death. So yeah, she was very much into that. But that's also, she would do vocal exercises and all that sort of stuff. But she was a great singer too. So I think I sort of got that end of it from my mum, I think, more than anything.
That's incredible. That's so good. I get you must have had such an interesting life up until this point, honestly. Like going through all that, like having all those influences, having your site 19, then obviously having your own business after that, and then
Yeah.
merging your way back in to doing music again. Like, was there a sort of a feeling that did you miss doing music? Did you want to sort of try and do it
Yeah.
more so on your own terms? Like, were there things that you sort of learnt when you were 19 that you sort of became a bit wiser doing this time around?
Well, I think that I think it comes down to a love. It's sort of like a Sophie's Choice sort of thing. If
Yeah.
they ask me whether it's music or film, I'd have to take music. Or
Yeah.
is it music or a happy life? No, I'll take music.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just is it music or more children? No, I'll take the music.
Mm.
Music or another cat? No, I'll take, well, probably maybe another cat. Maybe
That's a great thing.
yeah. So I just, it's one of those things that's in your, it's really in your DNA. But I think anybody can be good at it. Anybody can be great. But I think the bottom line really, more than anything, is the amount of practice and time that you put into
Mm.
making your craft better. And we do get frustrated because sometimes I'm not a huge fan of sampling
Yeah.
or a I mean AI. The bottom line with AI is every other song that's ever been written that's been stuck into a computer, and then you tell AI make me a Beatles track, and it pulls from every Beatles track they can, and that's
Mm.
your track. So that's all false also. But sampling to me, I mean, I've had arguments with other musicians about it, but
Of
then
course.
they'll play me a track, and I'm like, that's a great sounding track, and it's 5 different samples.
Yeah, right.
They made a song out of it. I guess their creativity comes from them putting other people's songs together. I
Mm.
just don't see it. I don't get it. I think,
Yeah.
if you really are a creative person and that's what you want to do is create music, even if your
Mm.
music tends to be drawn subconsciously from something else.
Yeah.
Even Sam Smith a few years ago, he wrote a song that was apparently a complete rip-off of a Tom Petty song.
Yeah,
But
right.
he manned up straight away. He didn't say nothing about it. He said, "Man, I must have done that subconsciously," and told Tom Petty, "Whatever you want from the song, take." And I
Yeah.
thought that was great because obviously it was a subconscious sort of thing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
good for him. He didn't try to hide behind it. Didn't try to take him to court. Didn't try to sue him. All sorts of crap. I mean, it's like that funny story about the although it wasn't a sample, but it was a rip-off, I suppose. The
Yeah.
song by oh, what's his name again? The song that was a rip-off of a Marvin Gaye song with
Oh.
Pharrell Williams in the other one, the other fella.
Oh.
Um, you know the
I've heard
song
of
I'm
Pharrell
talking
Williams.
about?
Yeah, I've heard of Pharrell Williams. Yeah,
The
yeah.
part I remember is a video of the nude girls in it. That's the main part of the song I
That's probably
remember.
why. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I have one too.
but it's a funny thing. They obviously had a certain guilt conscience because they
Mm.
pre-sued the Marvin Gaye people. Marvin
Wow.
Gaye's people didn't even know about the song. And then they
Damn.
pre-sued them. They said, okay, we're going to counter-sue. And they lost 7.5 million quid. So there you go.
Far out. It's such a weird thing, especially because music's been around for so long, and it gets to my brain as well sometimes, where it's just like
Right.
there's so many different melodies and so many different like ways you can go about different things. Like, and again, sometimes you just come up with an idea for a song and you don't intend to be ripping off someone or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it just happens. So again, like it's good if you can carry that in a good conscience, and if it does
Yeah.
sadly become that, then you can obviously react to it in a good way, and as you
Yeah.
say, stand your ground.
Yeah.
Sorry, all that kind of stuff, but. I mean, there's days these days. I don't listen to radio at all, but sometimes I have to because I'm in the supermarket or some shit, and I have to
And
hear.
it's Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, literally. And I have to hear songs that are literally being sung by someone random, but the song is like, Gangsta's Paradise from like start to
Right,
finish. Or it's
right.
like, Blue by Eiffel 65, and it's just someone else
Mm.
singing over the already song that they've done. And that's the kind of shit that I'm kind of like, how do you get away with doing that? Like you must be like have an agreement with that because that's just pure rip-off, like purely.
Yeah,
It's insane.
it is. But even then, I mean, even when someone does a cover, I was reading a story the other day about this
Yeah.
band in the, I think the 70s called Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And they used to do a
Mm.
lot of classical stuff and rework jazz stuff and all sorts of stuff. Anyways, they brought one of the fellas down from a particular track they did of his. His
Yeah.
name was Aaron Copland, right? And they did a
Okay.
song called Fanfare for the Common Man. And
Mm.
anyways, basically the beginning of the track was basically his exact track. And then the
Wow.
end of it was all this vibing and improvisation. So
Mm.
afterwards, Keith Emerson said to him, so what do you think? What do you think, Mr. Copeland? He goes, well,
Mm.
I think it's an absolute waste of time, the beginning of the track. He says, but I
Yeah.
love all the improvisation stuff. And he said, if you're going to do a cover of something, don't make it the same, make it a bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put your flair to it, put your musical flair to it, and then that becomes another song. And even though it's a cover, it actually becomes another song.
Yeah, no, that's
So,
completely right. Especially when it comes to
right,
creatives, like just put your flair onto little things. Like I do, wrestling and music and all sorts of shit.
right.
And that's something that we
Yeah,
get told all the time is just, don't outright do something that someone else is doing. Do like,
yeah.
be inspired by what they're doing, but try and fixate it a little bit just so you can stand out a bit and make it your own rather than trying to make it an absolute carbon copy of somebody else's stuff.
I want to ask you while we're on here, there used to be
Of
a band I loved in Australia. I don't even know if they're still around now. They're called the Hoodoo
Okay.
Gurus.
Yeah,
Them?
yeah, 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 I know them. They
Fucking
still get
love
they
them.
they still get played on Triple M every single day.
They got a song called "What's My Scene." I just
Yeah,
love that track.
that's
Great
one of their
track.
main ones. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a team. I live in London now, but like there was a track
right.
back in there's a track back home called I think it's like Come Anytime. And
Yeah,
that was on a TV show called Thank God You're Here in like
yeah,
the mid 2000s. So that's literally how I
yeah.
first heard of them because that song would come
Right.
on. That's like my favorite show. And so
Yeah,
yeah, I heard them from there. And then yeah, that Morse Bay scene's on the radio at least once or twice a day, easily.
right.
But yeah, no,
Love them.
it's yeah, it's great. Did you like? I'd love to know what sort of like who sort of were your inspirations, I guess, for like the songs that you wrote specifically for this album. Maybe like has your taste sort of changed
Well,
ever so
you won't
slightly?
hear. Yeah, a little bit, I guess, but you probably won't hear any of them there. But probably my biggest influence is Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, okay.
I've always loved Marvin Gaye. Stevie Wonder's a huge influence. Love him too.
Yeah.
But because of me mum, I also like a lot of these old classics. Like I'm a huge
Hmm.
Burt Bacharach fan. I
Oh,
love Ella
cool.
Fitzgerald. I love a lot of jazz because of my brother. My brother was a massive jazz fan. I love Bill Evans. I like
Cool.
Chick Corea, Jarrett. Just so much great music in
Yeah.
there. So, and Oscar Peterson too, who I really was lucky to meet when I was really young, and
Oh.
he wasn't doing too well at the moment, but I got to
Mhm.
watch him play piano. Took my head off. I was just a little kid. And I
Really?
was watching and Oscar Peterson was just amazing, incredible musician. Yeah, incredible guy. So I was very
Incredible.
lucky there. So I think my influences, particularly on this album, probably weren't anything particular,
Hmm.
but I'd always have to fall back into people like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder. Those are the people. Stevie Wonder for me is I love the fact that he's got this coverage of pop and soul together. I mean,
Mm.
he'll write a song like what's the song about shoot, so I'm blanking at the moment, sorry mate.
That's okay, mate.
I just called to say I love you, which
Yeah,
is just
dude. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
pure 100% pop song. And then he writes
Mm.
something like Superstition, which
Yeah.
is an
True.
incredibly funky, great, down and dirty R&B track, which is just fantastic. And that's why I
Yeah.
love people like that, because, you can sort of pigeonhole him and say, well, he comes from that genre or comes from this.
Mm.
But Stevie Wonder was a guy that's just got such an incredible, and if you listen to stuff like Songs in the Key of Life, I mean, the entire record,
Mm.
I mean, I think it's got to be a 50-year-old album, but he
Yeah.
wrote the
Damn.
entire thing himself, played every instrument himself on the record, did on
Man.
both records, on both two tracks, played everything himself, sang everything himself, played all the guitars, played the keyboards, played the drums, played the
Mm.
bass, played everything on it.
Yeah.
Incredible piece of work.
Exactly. Yeah,
So those are
yeah,
the guys
man.
in a sense, I guess you could say I look up to. I really do. Those are the people I
Definitely.
really adhere to. Yeah,
The real workhorses who are just so able to play just everything. They can just teach
yeah,
themselves like almost every little thing. And
yeah, yeah,
it's almost like it makes the record just purely them because they're on
yeah,
everything, which means they have
yeah,
such
yeah,
they have a creative mind to be able to do like everything they want to and move it
yeah,
around the way they want to.
yeah.
It's awesome, man. It's actually so
It is
sweet.
awesome.
Yeah,
Really
man.
awesome, mate.
Yeah, I'd love to know, because obviously, writing an album must be such a process to do. And obviously, the world's still full of musicians who are putting out so many singles and EPs, that kind of stuff. If there was someone that was looking to write an album, what would like be, I guess, advice that you would have if they were looking to enter the process of writing a full-length album?
You know, the thing that I would probably do, it depends on how you work. I mean, I've always been fascinated by Elton John. He works lyrics
Mm.
first and music second. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
so
true.
he writes it, but I don't think probably most musicians, if they're writing a song, they might come up with a hook or something, or
Mm.
a sort of a line they want to put in that particular song, or they've got a group of signs. I mean, I know that what's his name in U2, Bono, he
But
tends
yeah,
to be a kind of a stream of consciousness sort of guy. He writes all these particular lines down. So you listen to a song of his, there might be all these sort of lines put in there that he sort of came up with. But I
yeah.
would always say to somebody, get your basics down first. Get the
Hmm.
basics of those tracks, get the basics of a feel. And once you get the basics of the feel, everything else falls into place, because
Oh,
you'll find a lot of artists sometimes they'll write one particular song and then there's 10 songs after that that basically sound the same as the first song, because
yeah.
they fell in love with that particular feel, that particular genre, that particular way of writing a song, and they'll write
Hmm.
another 10 like it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that as long as they don't sound too much alike.
Yeah, of course.
But you sometimes listen to some old Beatles records and stuff like that, and
Mm.
particularly the older ones, the first few albums. And I still find it fascinating. Their first record they did in 12 hours.
Yeah,
And
man.
yeah, it's
Oh
mad,
wow.
mad, mad. And I know
Mm.
some of them were covers and all the rest of it, but it all had that same kind of feel to it. On that
Yeah.
record, the first two, three records, and even if you go as far as something like Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah.
And maybe this sort of concept thing out of McCartney's mind, but at the same time, though, it had a feel to it. That particular record
Mm.
had a feel to it. Abbey Road had a feel to it.
Mm.
And I think that if they put the basics down first, the sort of basics of what your tracks are going to be, the basics of your feel, maybe the basics of your beats, the rest of it will fall in place. Because probably the hardest work for me are lyrics, that's for sure.
Right. I
I
see.
think,
Wow.
yeah, I just don't want to sound too much like a knob when I sing, if I can
Yeah.
help it.
Yeah, it makes
Like,
sense. Yep. I feel you.
I,
I feel you.
I got taught a lesson years ago. I was in the
Okay.
studio when I was about 16, and we
Mm.
were writing this song, and I said, okay. And the producer who was there at the studio at the time, he said, "What did you write there, mate?" I go, "Oh, no, no, nothing, nothing." He goes, "No, no, just say it to me." And so the line was, "The window becomes my pain."
That's great. That's so artsy. So artsy.
Yeah, and he said to me, "Oh, maybe because it was 20 years ago." He said to me, "Mate, get off that shit, will you? Do something, will you? Rhyme or something, but don't that crap." That was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Right.
So it was good, all good,
Yeah,
all
man, that's
healthy.
brilliant. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that advice. I think it's very good, especially to be able to have a bass first to then work.
Yeah,
And again, it depends how you work as well.
yeah,
I'm pretty good with lyrics when it comes to instrumentation, that kind of stuff. It's a bit harder for me, but I'm definitely more of a lyric
mm.
guy first. That's why I usually have people help me out with
No, I'll
instrumentation.
send you my post address afterwards, post box so and so you can send me some.
Yeah. I'll try. I'll send you the ones that
What
aren't for the heavy metal band. I'll
if,
send you the ones that
if
are
I
for
could if
solo.
I could write? I'll tell you what, mate. If I could write lyrics faster and
Mm.
better, I would pump out 20 songs a week.
Oh man, yeah.
Because the
It's
music
yeah.
part is not the hard part for me. I mean,
Oh,
that little thing you got on your phone where you can record messages and whatnot. And I'm always
yeah.
constantly on there. And I just went through there actually last night,
Yeah, yeah.
and I found another, like, I think about 30 snippets of songs on there.
Damn, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, so
I've had a few people on the podcast recently where I have had this conversation where,
right,
you get like the 3 a.m. ideas where you just wake up and you've
yeah,
got something in your head and you're just like
yeah,
reaching for the notepad or your phone to like chuck down
yeah.
some very like gritty like phone recording. And you wake up in the morning just say, what the fuck was that I had last time? Try and make sense of it. And then before you know it, half your like single or half your songs just made up of all these like different
That
recordings
is
of like 5 or 6 seconds long.
so fucking on point, mate. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Oh man, it's crazy. It happens though. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'd love to finish off talking to you about obviously the tour that you have just been on. Uh, that looked exciting as all hell. You did quite a bunch of dates. It was with what was it Boys Life? That's right, Boys Life.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did it go? Did you enjoy
It
it?
was good.
Have
I
you?
mean, nice lads, good guys. I mean, both of them. One's from Boyzone, the other one's from Westlife. They've done this thing together, and they've got a particular crowd, which is kind of great. Actually, in one sense, is
Mhm.
basically 40 to 50 something women that really fancied them back about 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, uh, and I was going to say something, but I don't know if we can put that on the air.
that's fine.
No, I was going to say, I know it sounds a bit lascivious, but 30 years ago they were wetting their knickers. Now they've got incontinence. But
Let's
so
finish
it's a
soon.
different, yeah. But they were great guys and really good performers too. Fantastic performers, both of them. But I think they're sort of like, they've been through the whole sort of thing over the last 30 years, and they've really got it down pat. And they're both good singers, great performers. The band was
Yeah.
great. And they had it with a band too, which was great, sort of recorded tracks.
Oh, beautiful.
But their crowd was great, though. They were very
Mhm.
hard in one sense because you had to fight against it because, they were very there for Boys Life 100%.
Yeah, of course.
But every once in a while I'd mention their name in between my sets and I get a
Hmm.
few cheers and yells. And so I figured I was going in the right direction.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but for me, it was a good experience because I haven't been playing live for quite a long time. So it was really good. I had to get out, do my thing every night. I had my 30 minutes, get my show done,
Yeah.
get it done properly. And I think in my own mind, I got better each day, bit by bit, felt more confident, felt better about what I was doing, felt better
Yeah.
about what I was singing. And so it was all in all a very good experience for me. And
That's
and nice
brilliant.
guys, and it was lucky because they're nice guys to work with also. So
Mm. That helps
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great. I
yeah,
mean, getting the reps in, all that sort of stuff, and like, yeah, being able to
yeah.
go to because you was in like different parts of England. I think you went up to Scotland as well.
Yeah, we did Scotland. We did a couple of dates in Scotland. I was going to stay a little bit further on the tour, but I couldn't. I had something else on. They did a couple of extra dates. The last four dates I missed, which I think was Halifax, Dublin, which I
Okay.
would have liked to play Belfast and Dublin because I'm half Irish there, so
Oh,
I've got a
brilliant.
lot of family over there, and the other half is Scottish. So
Oh, there
uh,
you
yeah,
go.
it's called a Celtic mess.
A Celtic
Um,
mess. I love that.
yeah, Celtic mess. But Scotland was great for me too because my mum, not to get maudlin, my mum had just passed away when I was on tour. When I was on tour, actually. So,
Oh,
uh,
really?
and
Okay.
so she really wanted to come to Scotland to see the shows there, but unfortunately couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were great dates for me though. So yeah, overall the whole thing was a good experience. It's a good experience, and I've got nothing negative to say about it at all, to be honest. So
That's brilliant, man. I'm very happy you had a great time, and obviously, yeah, when you
yeah,
get to support people like that, especially when they're amazing people and they make
yeah,
your job so much easier, yeah, man,
yeah,
that's what you could ask for, really, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
brilliant. I want to finish off just asking you about because you've got so many beautiful looking videos on YouTube that have got like,
Oh.
you got like thousands to 100,000 in I think one of them as well. And like
Mhm.
just such nicely produced videos and all that sort of stuff. Obviously that must help being like, you've got the director sense, maybe put the hat on to make some really nice looking videos.
Well, actually, no, I didn't at all. I shut up. I think again, when you hire somebody, I mean, I might have had a few things here and there, but there was a
Yeah.
company that did the first video, Sun and Skies, called Sitcom Soldiers.
Yeah.
They're out of Manchester, Bolton area.
Hmm.
And then I had one done by a chap named Ryan Mole, who's from up north also, uh, and Chris Brooker. But they're all really good guys and they're all really
Hmm.
nice people to work with. So you get a much better feeling when you're doing the video. I'm not a huge fan of doing music videos, quite
Hmm.
frankly.
Yeah.
Not because I don't think they're warranted. I
Hmm.
just think they're kind of extraneous sometimes when it comes to the music. And
Hmm.
music to me is like reading a book. Like when you
Okay.
read a book and you don't see the movie, well, then you
Mm,
get to fantasize what those people look like, what
that's
they're
true.
supposed to be like, what James Bond really is like in your mind, or
Yeah.
what the whatever's like that. And I think that's a little bit for me with music.
Mm.
I don't want to necessarily steer someone in the direction that they think. I've had people tell me all sorts of different things about my track. That's a funky track, and I'm saying, well, it sounds like pop music to me, but they think it's
Yeah.
funky. They think this, but I like that. I love it because their interpretation of what they listen to is different than mine, and I think that's the best thing you can ever ask for. Because if
Yeah,
everybody says the
definitely.
same sort of thing about your music, well, that's Cole's music. That I know exactly what I'm going to hear all the
Mm.
time. But if I get different interpretations from different people, then I think I've done the right job. Then,
Yeah, definitely. Especially like not tying a vision to the track
yeah,
itself, but allowing the person to create
yeah,
their own vision for the track so that it's not like,
yeah.
yeah, it's not like a solidified thing. That's brilliant. That's some wisdom right there.
No. Well, there you go. Try your best as you get there.
Yeah. No, this has been a fantastic conversation, Cole. I really have
Yeah.
enjoyed this
Pleasure meeting
very
you, mate.
much. Yeah, you as well, mate. Absolutely. All the best with the rest of your musical ventures. I'm so keen to hear the other 15 tracks that you'll eventually put out going forward
Well,
as
I'm
well.
gonna probably do a little bit of an album release thing, so I'll
Yeah.
send you an invite if you'd like to come down.
Oh,
Yeah, send you in
please.
London. Yeah,
Absolutely. I'd love to go down there. That'd be fantastic. All right. Thank you so much,
definitely.
my dude. Have the best time, and I'll be seeing you soon. Thank you for joining me.
Take care, mate. Have a good day, mate. Cheers. Thanks.